Welcome to Restoring Childhood on the Same Page. I'm your host, Ryan Dalton, and this week we're talking about Chapter 10, What Governments and Tech Companies Can Do Now. I have three amazing guests with me here today. I'm going to let them introduce themselves, and we'll start right over here with our, third-time champion now?
Mm-hmm,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I am Kaysha Sells. I am a pre-K teacher at Northeast Elementary and a mother of two.
I am Jennie Ivey, and I'm a writer. I write for the Cookeville Herald-Citizen and a number of other markets. I've lived in Cookeville 39 years, raised all three of my children here, and I am also a grandmother of 6 children, many of whom have cell phones.
Put that out there.
I'm David Patterson, presently a lawyer with Crabtree and Patterson. I began in the early 80s as a youth service officer and have done other things in the justice system. I'm most proud of my 3 grandsons, Henry, Joseph, and Louis, and they're 11, 7, and 5, and very interested in how we can help them have more successful lives.
I won't tell your own children that you're most proud of your grandchildren.
Don't tell them that.
They will not see this.
We're going to edit that.
Yeah, edit that out. Okay, perfect. Well, thank you all for being here. You all have different great entry points into this. I think as a parent, pre-K teacher, but as a parent more, this really looking at like how we hold governments and tech companies accountable as parents and people ourselves who are users, and we'll get into like users later. I think that's a great entry point. And then one of the things that I know is every time I go to vote, I see you at the voting polls. So one thing I know about you is you know how to use your voice with writing to, I guess, share your voice and your opinion about things. But I think that's an important part of living in a democracy, is having that know-how of how to use your voice, but then also like that civic duty of working the polls and things. And so when I thought about, talking about how we can put that pressure on governments, you came to my mind, and I appreciate,
Thanks, Ryan.
your work here. And then we've known each other more years than most of the kids I work with, like double their age. Like we've known each other for a while. And
Since you were just a little scrapper.
since I was a little bitty guy.
We've both known since Ryan.
Yeah,
since he
true.
was a kid.
Yeah.
Yes.
But you've seen sort of every, the entire spectrum of the law. It's really interesting how you've been through that as assistant DA, judge, don't let me leave things out, but yeah, lawyer. And like you said, at the same time, you're a parent, you're a grandparent, and that gives you a really and truly good insight into this. So I was very happy that you agreed to do this.
I wondered why you asked.
That's why. Now you know.
Okay.
So that's why. I see you as an expert on the government.
Okay.
Okay. So here we are. Thank you for being here. So this chapter, it sort of, before this, in the book, he just lays out all the kind of damage that cell phones are doing to our society, and to specifically our youth, to adolescents. And then he goes into this final part where he's talking about what can we do? What can we do to bring this change? The chapter before this is about collective action and about coming together and acting. And this chapter is really about what can governments and tech companies do? Keeping in mind that governments only do what we want them to do as citizens, and oftentimes not even that, maybe. And tech companies possibly don't want to do anything to intervene. And so he really lays out some very interesting things that we need to be aware of as citizens, parents, but also just people who can like push these the government entities and tech companies to do better by our kids and by us. So one of the most striking things, like right in the beginning and throughout all of this, is how he talks about even some of these like tech giants like Mark Zuckerberg and all these major tech guys don't even let Mark Zuckerberg doesn't have kids, but the ones who do don't even let their own children on these things. And the co-founder, they're talking about this Sean Parker, president of Facebook, who was talking, and he said, God only knows what it's doing to our children's brains. So they knew what this is doing to the kids' brains, and not only did they not seemingly care, but they even used that to the advantage of hooking these kids. What were some of the sort of things that stood out to you, like the overarching things that stood out to you about this chapter? Or
Well, the first one I put an asterisk by says, users of social media are not the customers, we're the product.
Yep.
We are the product of the advertisers who pay to be on Facebook and Instagram and all the others. We're just the little pawns in their game.
Yeah, absolutely. And even the term user kind of goes into the whole addiction realm of things. Like we speak about people who are addicted to substances as a user. And I think that I also marked that and I wrote, users are the product. And yeah, I think about that and what that means on the multiple levels of that we're users. And I feel like we are being used as well.
Something that I've said multiple times throughout this whole study is like, it might not have been intentional to us as parents or grandparents or whatever role we have, but on the tech companies, it was always very much the intention. Like they meant to do this.
Yep.
We just kind of fell into their trap.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. Did you have something?
I was just going to say that it seems to be the goal to get your hooks into somebody when they're the youngest.
Yeah.
And cultivate what they need, make it so that they need something.
Yeah.
Well, and he speaks on that at the end of this chapter.
As early as you can, it seems to me.
Young as you can.
As young as 4.
Yeah. And that takes us back to like, I know they had them when you were a kid, definitely when I was a kid. All these other youngsters won't know about this, but
They won't.
the candy cigarettes.
Oh, yeah.
And what the cigarette companies did to hook the kids early. And it's the same type of thing. You said as young as 4. And I mean, those candy cigarettes were not marketed towards adults, but then it's that
bubble
getting
gum.
your body used to it, you know?
It was fun.
Yeah. So you know about it too.
Yes. I'm way older than you.
Yeah. So he talks about the race to the bottom. And he talks about 4 main ways the government and tech companies can improve the virtual world for adolescents. The first one he says is assert the duty of care. I
was surprised. I mean, 13
Yeah.
is an age of adulthood for this, for getting, having your own accounts. That's just surprising to me that would be the standard that we have in any type of legislation or law that we have at this time. It really surprised me. And obviously, that's where he starts, the accountability to the child. And I think that it's in that particular thing when he's talking about their 13.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, as a lawyer or a judge, did you ever see a case where a 13-year-old was treated as an adult?
No,
I'm sure that
I
it
didn't.
has happened at times, and I think of
You know, you have to commit a very serious crime, or you have to have a history of criminal offenses or juvenile convictions, juvenile dispositions, in order to be considered an adult in the system. That doesn't happen at 13.
yeah, and we're giving them
And
just
13's loose. Like that. That's
absolutely.
All you
It's
have to
really
do
like
is know
10.
math. All you have to do is know
There it
math and
is,
say,
yeah.
this is 2025.
Well, I've
So
said
to be
before,
13,
you have
this
to
is my
know
birth
how
year.
to
Yeah.
become 13. Like,
Yeah.
you have to know
yeah,
how
my
to.
7-year-old can figure that out.
Yeah. And that's what's wild is 13.
And no verification of what age you are.
Absolutely. And
To get on the porn sites, to get on anything. Just lie and say, I'm 13, I'm 16, I'm 18. Well, what's your birthday? Well, I can do that math.
yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
and he speaks on it in the chapter that I think Louisiana kind of
Oh, yeah.
pushed back a little bit on that. And what did they do? They just
Didn't do
took,
business.
took their business elsewhere.
Yeah, which is wild. I mean, but yeah. So he speaks about in this talking about raising the age of internet adulthood to 16, and early on in the book he lays out his 4 kind of foundational reforms, and 2 of those are: do not give a child a cell phone until they're in high school, and don't allow them to be on social media until they're 16. But I thought it was interesting that it even spoke about the original draft of, I don't know how to say it, COPPA or COPA, which is that Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, which is from 1998.
It's a joke.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a total joke.
Yeah.
It is.
Total joke.
Yeah. But it is interesting that in the original draft that 16 was the age.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even like because of child development or anything. There was some,
Driver's license.
is that what it?
Yeah, wasn't it?
Well, it seems that would be a starting place.
Right.
Yeah.
They're old
You
enough to
have
drive.
the responsibility to drive. We see that. Child is able to do that. It makes sense.
So
Yeah.
13 was a compromise as I read that.
Yeah.
They said, well, we can't. Oh, yeah, okay, well, we want 16, but yeah, we'll go for 13. And you go, what?
Yeah.
And this was well before Instagram, Facebook,
Yeah.
Yes,
all
yes.
of these social media.
Yes.
So who
There
wanted
wasn't social media, I don't assume, in
Who wanted
1998.
13? I mean, how did they
Members
get to
of
be
Congress,
13?
I think.
Yeah. So it's actually in here. And it says, so Representative Ed Markey from Massachusetts drafted such a bill, and he defined a child as anyone under the age of 16 for data collection purposes. And then he talked about in negotiations over the bill, a compromise was reached that the age would be lowered to 13. That decision had nothing to do with adolescent brain development or maturity. It was just a political compromise.
So you got to wonder who the other side was, and it had
You
to be
do.
lobbies for the
You don't wonder.
tech companies.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
yeah, of course it is.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
I mean, they obviously benefit from this because the more users they have,
more advertising.
the more advertising, the more money.
And so that was 1996. Is that
98.
98? Okay, and so we haven't really hit where
No, there
it's
was-
really going to be bad.
No.
No,
we didn't get there
we're just,
yet.
No.
We're just putting our toes in the water.
Right.
Yeah.
And so we're talking. Oh, maybe it's okay for 13-year-olds.
Yeah.
12 when you're 12.
And so
Too young.
then, and any of us who've been around children ever know this, but the most sensitive period of harm for social media for girls is 11 to 13.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All 4 of my granddaughters are in that range. And the most sensitive period for boys, who of course are much more interested in the porn than they are the social media, is 14 and 15.
Yeah.
So let's don't wait till 16 before we trap them.
Yeah.
It's a missed opportunity at that point.
Yeah. They might be too savvy to say yes.
One of the things that I've seen is that the Restoring Childhood has some things that there's a pledge that can be made.
Yep.
9th grade.
Yep.
And so in 9th grade, we're 15
Yeah.
14,
14, 15,
15.
14, 15.
before there is a smartphone.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So, and that is part of this kind of collective action that he suggests in the book, where we can't do this alone. And it's kind of going on what I was looking at here, is the burden of all of this can't be on individual parents.
Right.
It has to be a collective action.
It has to be a journalist.
It has to be.
How do
Yeah.
you-
Yeah.
Well, it has to be lawyers and
has to be-
journalists
Yeah.
and
and
parents,
teachers,
all
and
of
teachers
the,
and parents and everybody.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And everybody.
And it has to be, instead of one parent saying, I'm not going to allow this, it has to be a group of people so that when my kid goes over to their house, that I know that her daughter isn't over on a phone.
Yes. Same as they're not in the liquor cabinet.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not that different.
Well, and that is actually a great segue into this because he says we can't, and talking about we have to push governments to make regulations, we have to push the tech companies. He says we can't put the entire burden of policing minimum ages on parents any more than we would do so when teens try to buy liquor. We expect liquor stores to enforce age limits. We should expect the same from tech companies. So there's a lot of talk about to parents, oh, well, you let your kids do whatever on the internet or whatever, but parents often don't even know themselves how to use these devices. Kids know way better than that. They know how to hide certain apps in calculator apps and all this stuff. The kids will find their way around this better than us at any point.
And how about us? Zero.
Yeah, exactly. We don't know what we're doing.
Do anything in front of me, and I wouldn't know it.
Yeah. And it's so he's saying, we can't just depend on parents to try to restrict this thing. We have to push for stronger age restrictions. We have to push our government officials to fight for that. And we have to push these tech companies and hold them accountable to put it there and actually they be the ones that monitor it.
So what struck me was, Google and Apple and Microsoft and whoever the rest of them are, can do all this crazy stuff with settings.
Yeah.
They could put a setting to indicate that this device belongs to a minor.
Yep.
They could.
Yeah.
They know how to do
well,
that.
he talks about that, settings, default settings.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I feel like that's bare minimum.
Bare minimum, but at least it's a start.
Yeah.
Instead of just saying, what's 2025 minus 13, and that's the year I was born. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. No problem.
Well, and he says that on 238. He says, parents should have a way of marking their child's phones, tablets, and laptops as devices belonging to a minor. That mark, which could be written either into the hardware or software, would act like a sign that tells companies with age restrictions, this person is underage, do not admit without parental consent.
Yes.
And that to me seems more responsible.
Or there will be penalties. Then there have to be penalties if they break that rule.
They're due. When a liquor store is selling to minors, they don't do that again.
Yeah.
Right.
They lose their license if they do it again. There may be a warning the first time, and it is policed.
Yeah.
Yes.
They check for that.
Yes.
It's going to be interesting when we do speak and we do have changes to see what the sanction's going to be. How you sanction a billion
Yes.
dollar.
How you sanction Apple.
How you sanction.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's very interesting.
And it's also kind of like the Wild Wild West on the internet. I mean, it's just so vast. And where does it even start and end with these? I mean, you have the individual websites, you have the bigger companies that own them, and but I don't think that should stop us from trying to come up with something.
I don't
like
think you can.
No.
I don't think you can say that. You have to have the law first. You have to have that first.
And I think the law, we talked about Louisiana having a stricter law, so nobody just does business there. It has to be national. It has
does.
to be national.
Yes.
This has to not come through the Tennessee General Assembly. This has to come through the U.S. Congress.
No,
absolutely.
And surely to goodness, if we can't agree on anything else, surely to goodness we can agree on this.
Well, and that's what's been encouraging about this movement, and even reading this. It is a bipartisan issue. This has nothing to do with one side or the other. It is not something that is specific to certain socioeconomic households. It's not about race, religion, any of these things. This is impacting all of our kids. If they have access to a cell phone, an internet-based device, and even some of these little video games that are connected to the internet, they can use that to get on the internet, not just play video games on it. So if they have access to that, it affects all of our kids. And I agree with you. It has to be a collective national movement to really hold these tech companies accountable.
I think that you could do it states by state to make it so that the federal government understands this is something we've got to get into. If you can't start,
if you can't start
with the
there,
federal
you can
government,
at least start with the
you
legislature.
do. And I don't know how states enforce it, but having the state legislature say, we want 16. We want them to have identification for children's laptops and screens.
And then I wonder, and this is just kind of spitballing and thinking about this. So we introduced no phone schools this year, which is one of his points in here.
Great.
And one of the things I saw before the school year started were upset parents saying, you can't take my kid's phone, you can't do this. So the other thing we also need is solidarity and this like-mindedness when we're presented with this at what a negative impact it is. Let's say we get to a point where they are regulated more heavily. They raise the internet adulthood age to 16. They create these devices that have the minor mark where, it's marked as this is a minor's device. How do we regulate it with parents? Because there might be parents who decide, is that, how does that work,
I think that you're going to have parents that are going to go out and buy alcohol for their kid.
Okay.
You do.
Okay.
Yeah.
You just got to have
Absolutely,
to
yes.
work with a contributing type thing. You've contributed to harm for your child. That's another part of this chapter too, about, if you're allowing your child to do certain things, free play, you could have some difficulty. And we haven't got to there quite yet. But that's what you would have to do. You would have to have some type of contributing to harmful, the thing is, how do you police it?
Yeah.
That would be, because the tech company's not going to tell you.
Yeah, no, they're not.
Yeah. No, they're not. No, they're not.
It's definitely a tricky thing and multifaceted. But what is encouraging to me is the idea of collective action. The idea that as a community, if we are saying, a vast majority of us, that we want to make a difference and we do that, we can change at least what it looks like in our community.
I recently saw a newspaper article, front page, that said that the school is the no cell phone use is great. Yeah. Now that's one thing that changes a parent's mind.
Yeah.
Yes. And I think that's where the conversation will start. Even parents who've never heard of this book or never going to read this book or never going to join one of these discussion groups, they know that cell phones are not allowed in Tennessee in schools, and they know that they really mean it in Putnam County. And that's where the door is open to talk to them about this stuff.
Yeah. So let's get into what you almost segued us into a minute ago. What governments can do to incentivize more and better real world experience. And one of the things he said is stop punishing parents for giving children real world freedom. I know for a fact, a little birdie told me that your oldest grandson was just out on his bike all summer.
He was.
And that is amazing.
Yeah. He had a realm. I mean, he didn't go outside.
And he's 11?
He's 11, yeah.
Well, good for him.
Yeah. He came to our house, got in the refrigerator, closed it, went out to somebody else's, probably did the same thing.
It goes back to we as a community have to decide that. I can't just send my one daughter out to the streets to play. Someone else has to be there for her.
With somebody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We have to.
Yes.
Did he come by? We're talking to each other. Did you send him home? Or send him home now?
Yeah.
Yes. So this whole idea, my favorite part of all that, the ridiculousness of calling the law because your child's in the park and she's 9, but closing off schools for an hour after school dismisses, blocking off the street and just letting the kids, that's the most awesome idea in this whole chapter.
Yeah,
it's a great
shut
idea.
down the street.
Yeah.
Shut down the street.
Well, and I'm really thinking about this with Restoring Childhood, more opportunities like that, where we do that in big parts of our city. I would like to see that more with, say, Halloween, where there's whole sections of our community that we kind of just shut down and say, this is a no driving zone,
No
and
driving
let's
zone.
let the kids be out and
Yeah.
enjoy themselves, so
That'd
we
be-
know that they're safe.
Let's do it this year.
Yeah.
No, too late for this year. We'll have to do it next year.
I mean, that's what we want to work to, though.
Yes,
you know,
that's
is-
an awesome idea.
yeah,
That's an
towards
awesome
things
idea.
like that. More like, so last year, and maybe it was 3 years ago, I took the girls with Cat Star Music, local music school here in town. We went caroling. We organized a little group of people to go caroling. And it's really interesting because people are very skeptical of everything and everyone. And it was this ragtag group of people coming up to the door and be like, can we sing for you? And they're like, no.
Wow.
Close the door. But then
Wow.
some people let us, and we would
Wow.
sing. But like even things like that, where we're going back to these collective, sort of, I don't know, collective events and collective things where we kind of take back control of our physical environment of the city, and block parties. I love the idea of having block parties. Reintroducing those again, to where maybe in the summertime or spring, fall, where we have block party days, where we encourage all over the city, entire neighborhoods,
so
entire
great.
blocks,
That'd be
to
so
just
great.
block off that area and let the
That'd
kids
be
go
so great.
wild,
Mhm.
let families barbecue, have that kind of sense of collective fun again.
So you remember several years ago, and I remember this because I wrote a column about it, and maybe they're still doing this. It was called Walk to School Day.
Yeah.
So there's one day in the school year that's called Walk to
Yep.
School Day, and we walk to school every
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have
He
one
mentions
day
in
where
one
you-
part of the book, like even if, like we live, I know you live
Yeah.
significantly
Yeah.
far away
Your
from the
kids
school.
can't
far
walk
from
to
the
school.
school.
They could not walk to school, but he mentions like there's a convenience store right by our kids' school. Like,
Yeah.
so could you park at the convenience
Yeah.
store and like let
Let
them
'em out.
walk?
Yeah,
Let 'em
give
out.
them that experience.
Because I mean, here comes teacher, but like there's so much child development that happens in those moments
Or
of
they're
being
walking to
able
school
to
with their
make
friends.
choices for yourself and use your own judgment and not, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And those are some of the things that we have like kind of stolen from this generation. And he talks about this culture of safetyism and fear, and how we even like, not only do we discourage it, but we report other adults who we find to be negligent. He gives that on 240. He gives that example of Regina and Deborah Harrell, her mother, who had a shift at McDonald's, and there was a park nearby, a city park, very safe, and she allowed her daughter to play there, and she got reported for being neglectful, for letting her daughter play in this park.
We're just crazy. We're just crazy.
Yeah,
We're
and
just crazy.
he talks about like in societies around the world, children were traditionally thought to become more capable and responsible around age 6 or 7, when they were routinely given responsibilities such as caring for younger children and animals. And I remember, I mean, this is the 80s, but we lived next door to a family who had like a 2-year-old child. And there were times where me as a 6-year-old would go over there and look after that kid, and their parents would leave the house. Now, my parents were at the house next door,
Yeah.
and I knew what to do if something bad happened.
Just go get your mama.
Yeah, but I was left alone as a 6-year-old with the 2-year-old child in a house that was not my own.
And you're the oldest of your siblings.
Yes.
So that's what happens, is the oldest one, whether they're 3 or 6 or whatever, they just have to be in charge.
And the statute of limitations has run,
Yeah.
and you won't be charged.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, this is my lawyer. But yeah, so looking at this, like he talks about stop punishing parents for giving children real world freedom. And there's a big difference between neglect and actually abusing children, and just giving them autonomy, giving them some independence. With that, like you said, with your grandson, he had a range. And if he went out of that, that would be a conversation.
Would.
I mean, and that's protecting him. But within that range, he was king for the summer, riding
So
his
did
bike
he
around.
have friends that rode with him?
He did at times, and he does now.
Okay.
But he's back in school and he's playing sports, so times are limited.
My grandson lives in Kentucky, my oldest grandson, and he rides his bike to school, to middle school. He's in 7th grade this year, but last year he rode in 6th grade, and he's the only student in the whole school who rides a bike to school. The only one.
Wow.
And a 600. And so his parents went and they said, we would like to buy a bike rack to donate to the school so he has some place. And they go, no, we'll buy one. And they said, well, that's a great first step to maybe get kids.
That's right.
He's the only one that rides his bike.
But we have to change norms. Like we have to
Yeah.
normalize these things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You know, COVID did something really bad to our society. I don't mean to bring, we've got to change it, okay?
Yeah.
But we have a mindset now where disease, whatever, how do you let your kid out? That is something that we bubbled, and who was safe in the bubble and all that.
Yeah.
No, it's
And-
just
and
like,
we've come out of it,
Yeah.
but there's still that thought process about, I'm going to let my kid out.
Yeah.
now let my kid ride his bike to school.
Yeah. There was that movie, I think from the 90s, Bubble Boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, the boy in the
Um,
bubble.
Yeah. And that's kind of what we're doing with our kids,
Yeah.
but still not even letting them out. Like we're
Right.
keeping them in and putting them in a bubble.
And you know, we live in a town, sadly, that there's not an easy way for kids to sidewalks and
Yeah.
you know, all that. We're just a parentless taxi society, and I
Yeah.
don't
And
know.
but there are so we do have don't what is it called, the Greenway, there we have that bike
The
path.
the rail trail.
Yeah, and
Mhm.
it goes very far throughout
Yeah.
the city. We have great parks like Dogwood Park. They've even just this year added the sidewalk near Avery Trace to help with
Yep.
pedestrian flow. But I think it comes with us demanding that, saying like we want this to be, and he speaks about that in this chapter, design and zone public space with children in mind.
Yes.
And so if we want children to meet each other face to face and interact with the real world, not just screens, the world and its inhabitants have to be accessible to them.
That's right.
And he talks about we have to design our physical cities that way, where it is more friendly to kids and more accessible for them to be out and involved. And I don't really know what's happening with it, but I did hear that land near the depot could potentially be turned into kind of a green, parky kind
awesome.
of area. But more spaces like that for unstructured play, for kids to just go and that are connected to bike trails and things, I
Mhm.
think is great.
I live in East Lake Estates, and you have to cross a bridge over City Lake to get in there, and it was out for like many months, and
It
you had
was.
to go the back way. And so what happened when the bridge was out and no cars were coming down Bridgeway Drive is that kids were out in the streets playing basketball, playing everything.
That's great.
Yeah.
And I would be walking the dog, and I'd go, "Hey, y'all are having fun." They go, "No cars." They said it's the best thing that
Yeah.
could ever happen is that bridge being out. Because
Yeah.
they were all just out playing in the streets
Yeah.
and having fun.
Yeah. That's great. And I think that is something that we can replicate in ways.
Mhm.
I say we start with closing schools for an hour, the streets around schools. We can do that.
Yeah.
All we need is sawhorses.
Yeah. True.
And have an adult out there that only intervenes if somebody is bleeding.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yes.
I have a saying in my class: bleeding, barfing, burning.
Yeah.
Like you can't, the three B's:
That was my rule for waking me up in the night. No, if it's not any of that,
bleeding, barfing, burning.
just
I
deal
like
with
that.
it. Deal with it yourself. But no, if they're like, "Oh, I'll be the referee in this touch football game," come on,
Yeah.
stop,
Yeah.
stop,
Yeah.
stop.
Yeah. We have I think far too much we're blocking kids' experiences by intervening and blocking in that way. I can't believe it, but we're already running out of time. But what kind of would be, and maybe each of you, if you had a final thought or something that stood out to you, a final thought about this particular aspect from this chapter, or something that you think people really need to like drive home, what would it be?
Well, for me, what changed me that I wasn't feeling when I came into this conversation, because I do grow very discouraged about our Congress, that this might be a place where we could find common ground.
Yep.
Is to say, let's make some laws with our children in mind.
Yeah.
So I'll call them. I'll
Please
call
do.
them. Call them all the time. I'll call them again.
I think for me, it was like the duty to care. Like we cannot expect tech companies or
Yep.
whoever else to care. Like we must take that. We must do that part.
I like that.
I like the idea. I believe that one of the best things, have an age that is appropriate, at least 16,
Yeah.
and be able to verify. Tech companies verify, but at least not 13, 12, whatever.
4.
Tech companies are
4.
smart.
Or 4,
They can
yeah.
figure the how, like
Yeah.
how they're going to do that.
They've got the
But
brains to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think so. I do think that it's hopeful. These conversations are happening, and all over our community, pockets of these conversations are happening. And I do think it is not something we can just sit back and expect to magically happen. Because that's kind of how we got ourselves in this, in a way. We weren't, you said it.
expecting someone else to care.
Yeah, and in the beginning, we didn't like intentionally like get our kids addicted to tablets and cell phones, but it naturally happened, and it's going to take active, intentional effort to undo this and to put pressure on the businesses and the governments to do that. But I feel hopeful right now. This is a heavy book with a lot of heavy research, but in the beginning, when he says there are 4 reforms you can do, and I talked about it earlier, but don't introduce phones until high school, no social media before 16, no phone schools, which we are ahead of the game here.
Yeah.
We've already got that.
Yep.
And then increasing unstructured play. He says if you do those 4 things as a collective in a community.
And recess has been increased
Yeah,
this
there
year,
you
so
go.
we're
Recess,
doing that
so
one
we're on
too.
We
there
didn't talk
as
about
well.
that, but that's,
If you do those within 2 years, he proposes that we will see positive results. And I'm already seeing that in the school system.
Well, I know the 7-year-old loves recess. When you ask him what's the best part,
Yeah.
it is recess.
Yes.
And it is the best part.
It is,
Yeah.
always
It
has
is.
been.
Always has been.
Yeah, as a kid, I was actually not, it's weird to say as a teacher, I wasn't always strong in any particular subject, and I didn't love reading. I didn't love math. And if you ask me, what's your favorite subject? My answer would have been lunch if the lunch was better. But so my answer was recess, always like recess. That's not a subject, but it should be.
It should be.
It's what kids need
It
the
should
most.
be. And then they punish them for misbehaving by taking it away.
Oh, I
They
know.
can't now.
Yep,
They can't. Is that
it's
against?
against the
Yeah,
law.
it's the law.
Yep, new.
good.
So there we are. That's
So half of the things we're already doing here.
Yeah.
we're doing.
Go
And,
us. Go us.
Yeah, that's very good.
Well,
I'm
and
hopeful.
thank you, Ryan. You're like, you did all this.
Well,
You got the ball rolling.
yeah, I pushed the ball.
And we're not surprised, are we?
We are not surprised.
No,
we are
we're
not
not.
one little tiny bit surprised that you did it, but you got the ball rolling. And the ball's rolling.
It is rolling.
It's rolling.
Um,
I've got a little group at my church. We got more than 20 people in it,
That's awesome. That's great.
from parents in their 30s to great grandparents.
That's awesome.
Now I see why you invited her.
Yeah. I wanted her to just brag about me the whole time. she limited the brags. But no, thank you so much. I appreciate everything you all do just in general in life, but I appreciate you taking time out of your day and your schedules to be a part of this important conversation and helping us get on the same page, literally.
All right. Thank you, Ryan.
Thanks.
You're rocking it.
Welcome.